What is going on, everybody? I hope you're all doing well. Today we are checking out the Lawrence Petros Designs, or LPD, Kokopelli Overdrive. Now this is an updated version of the V1 Kokopelli that came out in 2017. That was a great sounding overdrive. This is an update to that with way more features. Essentially, you still get the original Kokopelli Overdrive, but you also get a V2 circuit that's voiced slightly different, but has some added features like a 3-band EQ. And there's some other things going on that we'll check out in the demo, but let's get into what's on the top of this box. As I mentioned, there's a V1 and a V2 circuit that you can switch between. I'll start with the V2 circuit. In the V2 circuit, you'll be in the green mode. You can use or employ a 3-band EQ. So you got treble, mid, and bass. We'll get into how all of that sounds in the demo. On the top of the pedal, you obviously have your level control. We know what that does. The V1 boost only applies to the V1 mode, which would be the red mode. We'll check that out. And then, of course, you have your drive, which is active, obviously, in both modes. We'll get into how that works. There's a switch in the center called a voice switch. Essentially, to the left, it's more flat. If you throw it to the right, it's fatter. You're going to get more lows and low mids. So if you're a single coil player, especially like back position strat or telly, you can fatten things up that way. As I mentioned before, on the bottom left, you've got your V1 and V2 switch, allows you to toggle between the two. And then on the right, you have your bypass, top mounted jacks. Let's get into this thing. Let's check out the LPD Kokopelli Overdrive. All right, let's get into this thing. Here's just the guitar into the amp. And here is the Kokopelli. Okay, cool. Noodling, kind of messing around with some of these controls. I started everything flat. Let's start by just looking at the drive range. I'm going to go back to the green or V2 mode, which will employ this EQ. But for now, I'm going to leave that essentially neutral. I shouldn't say neutral, at noon. And I'm just going to roll this drive and show you how it interacts with the level control. So I'm going to start by letting you guys hear the amp again. Okay, so there's a good amount of gain on tap. When you roll it all the way off, it still passes plenty of signal if you gun the level control, and then you could employ this EQ if you wanted, because it still stays pretty active even with the drive all the way down like that, as maybe an always on, which is really cool. So that's the gain range, or I should say drive range. What I like about the level control, and this is just my opinion, but I like that it doesn't get crazy over the top push into the amp, because then I can start kind of employing that level control almost as an EQ. It gets a little brighter and a little punchier as you run more level. So that's something to think about. But between the two, there's quite a bit that you can dial. Let's look at the EQ now. Or actually, let's go ahead and throw the voice switch. I'm going to leave the EQ at noon. I'm going to throw this voice switch, which works in both modes. When I throw it to the right, it's going to get fatter, and especially in the lower mids and lows. That sounds great. I didn't really employ that much within the context of that performance, because it took up too much space in the mix, at least for rhythm tones. Where this is ideal is obviously if you have like a single coil Strat or Tele, it's going to sound way fatter in those bridge positions. I did employ it for one of the solos. Which one? I'm old and I forgot, but I did employ it for a solo, and it kind of fattened things up. But that's really useful. It works in both modes. Now let's check out this EQ. I'll start with the bass. Here's off. Noon. All the way up. Now let's do the mids. Off. Halfway up. Now the treble off. midway up, all the way up. So the sweep is really cool on all three of these. I would say the bass isn't super active, but if you want more bass, really just throw that switch to the right and then turn the bass down and you'll have plenty of low end. I like where that frequency is set though on the bass. Mids are more active to me. I like how those sound, especially gunned. If you wanted to get kind of barky, like rhythm tones and stuff, that sounds great, but it will scoop a bit. The treble circuit is nice. It does seem to cut lows as you crank it taller, clockwise, brighter. It does seem to cut some lows, but it sounds really nice, especially for like stingy, like neck position tones. So that's what's going on with that circuit, bass, mid, and treb. Now this is only active when you're in green or V2. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to V1 now. This will be deactivated, but we'll still have control with the voice switch and this boost and drive. So we'll check that out. Let me just put this, let's just do that. Okay. That was. It's what my parents would say, awful. Anyways, not the pedal. What I just played was dumb. It's the running monologue in my head. I like this mode. I like it for soloing. I think it's really fat in either position. In my opinion, the way I would use it is I would dial in my kind of rhythm tones in that V2 mode, and then I'd go to V1 and dial that in for a solo voice. So I'm going to leave this off, this boost, and I'm just going to roll the drive up and down so you guys can hear what's going on. So that's not like a ton of gain, but you can start rolling in that level to it. So I'll leave this about here, and then I'll start rolling in the boost. I think that's when it really wakes up. I start hearing more top end. There's a little more saturation, but between these two, you can really dial in a cool solo tone that actually, it feels really good too. And then just employ the voice switch if you want it fatter. So I'm going to leave that there, and let's just dial in two sounds. So I'll go back to V2, which employs EQ. I'll turn the guitar back on. Okay, cool. So I mean, that's just a quick kind of dialing between the two, but you can tell how you could dial in one, the green setting for your rhythm tones, and then the red or V1 for your solo tones, or vice versa. It's really up to you. All right, so that is the Lawrence Petros Designs, or LPD, Kokopelli Overdrive. If you've got any other questions about it, always go to the website and check it out, because I didn't build it. And yeah, as always, I really appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you on the next one.